Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to February 27th. It's a Monday. There are sports, so it's the Sports Algorithm Podcast. Well, video's a little late today. I was out wrenching on the car. Window got stuck in the down position. If you ever had that one with your power windows. I don't know how anyone ever worked on cars before YouTube, honestly. I mean, you search something, you get a video, you get step-by-step guidance on how to fix problems. So I cut some cables and I got a window up and it's done. Anyway, so here we go. We have sports. Let's talk about NBA. Let's talk about college basketball and let's talk about hockey. We're going to start with NBA. If you caught any of the recap video I did last night about Sunday, you'll see that I started testing out some new distributions and combinations of percentages to try to find optimal percentages. And we did find something. We found this number 62, which is related to heavy on rebounds, adjusted offensive rating. There's some things in here that created the best results when running historical comparisons for the entire calendar year of 2023. So it's just from January 1, but did pretty well. So we're going to go with that today. I also had a good day yesterday. This is what that would show yesterday. When you see wins at the top, that's good. So we'll look at today. I glanced at the games and a couple things to watch out for. The injuries on the Celtics and the injuries on the Pelicans make these games tougher because they're going up against healthy teams. So I think those are question mark games. But the other two games at minus 200 lines are looking pretty good. That's the Sixers and the Hornets. Massive injuries on the Pistons. So this is probably a win for the Hornets down here, although the line's probably going to even get worse, I bet. And this one's at the top with an 11% margin in Philly. So it's really these two. The other one's just too much of a question mark because you just don't know how much those injuries are going to affect them. And yeah, so it'd be Sixers and Hornets to win tonight out of NBA. Might even be a parlay there because the lines are so bad. Now let's go over to hockey and we'll finish with college basketball. Hockey, you've got 5 games today. The first thing that popped up was I saw this. I mean, I saw all this redness right here with Mrazek and Dostal going as goalies. Their ratings are terrible, which is a sign there's probably going to be an over in that game. The over-under is set at, 6 or 6.5. But that's when you see bad goaltending like this, even though these teams don't put up a lot of offense, you can see it's saying like 3-2, but these are bad goaltenders. So the alternate over 5.5 is a very solid pick, and I think I'm going to take that on a round robin or a parlay today. Doesn't really know who will win this game as much because even though it says Chicago playing better, actually it does say Chicago playing better. Honestly, it does say that. So actually, at the plus 110, that's the combination. There's the Chicago and the over if you're doing the same game parlay on that game. Detroit and Ottawa up top here. Let's start at number 1. Boston over Edmonton. Is Skinner going? Skinner going? Are they really doing that? Let's double check our goaltenders for a second. This is how you connect the goaltender status. Now we're going to refresh and we'll be able to see it. Refresh. We're going to open this up right here. So Skinner is going. Wow. Boy, they're really trying him out tonight against Boston. So that would be Boston. That's why they're the number 1 pick. You can see the goalie differential is like 8%. Swayman playing great. So that is Boston number 1. And a very, very reasonable line for Boston because they're going up against Edmonton at home. But there you go. Boston, good team. We'll see if they continue. That Chicago pick pops up as number 2. Number 3, terrible line on Dallas over Vancouver. Dallas also playing miserable. So this is one of those where Vancouver should not really win this game, but something is wrong in Dallas. Something's also wrong in Vancouver, but something's really wrong in Dallas since the break. Whoops. So undo. So this plus 240 for those who are doing this, bet both sides strategy. That's a phenomenal line for a hockey game, and I think I'll probably start out with that to see if they cause some problems because Dallas is just having trouble winning right now. Next is the 4th pick is Detroit over Ottawa, plus 110. Goaltender, power, and streaks all favor Detroit here. Detroit has been playing pretty darn well. It did lose last game, but there you go. So got some underdogs today. This is going to be a closer game, but that's a positive EV bet in the long run with Detroit there. Even though that's probably supposed to be a very, very close game, maybe an under there also, perhaps. Then you have Vegas and Colorado, and it's saying extremely close. Best goaltending matchup of the day. Thinks like a 2-2 tie or barely 3-2 Vegas in overtime with how well they've been playing. But Colorado also been playing well. It should be an excellent game. It's kind of tough to judge what will happen here, given this is so close. When there are close games, it's usually an over situation because teams have to score a goal late to win, to come back, and it shows they can. But that is a really tough game. But you do have a lot of underdogs on here, right? It would say Vegas, Detroit, Chicago, Boston at a reasonable line. It could be a very nice paying day if these teams can come in. And then this is supposedly the sneaky game to stay away from at the bad line because Dallas is not playing well, even though it still gives them the third pick of the day. All right, so as talked about a lot there, but there are some straight bets to be had, and that looks like a somewhat profitable day. Let's go over to college basketball. Shorter day today. I did not run it yesterday, so I don't know how it did. I'm sure some of you ran it yesterday and maybe could tell me in the comments, but we'll talk about today. So what's happening at this time of the year is you're starting to get tournament games and play-in games to the big tournament and sub-tournaments, all kinds of things going on. So what happens here is you leave the neutral site projection at 0 or the home bump at 0 because you don't know. We have to really dig into ESPN or research these games to find out who's actually playing at home because a lot of them are not playing at home. A lot of these games are neutral site games. So we're just going to leave it at 0. I'm not going to do the research, which you absolutely should, because if somebody has a true home game, that matters more, right? So the only ones who could potentially be true home games, actually, we don't know that. I should glance at ESPN because it matters, but let's assume these are all neutral site games. Oh, no, I don't want to give you that advice. Well, I'm glancing on ESPN on my phone real quick. I just want to double check to see how many of these are neutral site games because it matters. Because if we use the home filter, but these teams aren't actually home, then that is going against our logic about home teams. So we really need to know. I am opening it up on the phone here. And today, Bellarmine and North Florida are in some championship game. The rest of these look like they are probably traditional home games. So I think it's just Bellarmine and North Florida. Where's this game taking place? You gonna tell me, ESPN? Where is this game? This game's in Lynchburg. And I'm guessing that North Florida is, this is at Liberty Arena. So this game's in Lynchburg. So that means that the Bellarmine game here, that North Florida is not actually home. Now, the way to adjust this, I have to go into the cube and start to add neutral site projection areas. But you can label the games inside of the cube so that we know in the future. And I'll probably, I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but we can do that. So we just know that North Florida is not actually home. Everybody else, though, I think is okay. So that means that home games, with the exception of North Florida, are going to be these 4. And any of them have reasonable lines. Actually, I've seen worse. Margins are really low. Portland State's a little injured. No injuries here. North Florida is not really at home. Slight injuries with Alcorn State and Texas Southern, and injuries on Idaho State against Northern Colorado. So Northern Colorado is a pretty good pick because they're healthy, even though that margin's really low. But there are some injuries here. This is not a good looking board today at all. What else do we have? Anything with reasonable lines up here? You got away teams. Yeah, it's a tough day. Be careful with Howard at 85% on the road here. That's trouble. South Carolina State can win this game in that kind of situation, even with a 24% margin for Howard. Baylor injured against Oklahoma State. More issues here. Got to be careful there. Here we got one. Prairie View away at Jackson State at -105, but that's within home bunch. Boy, this is just toss-up city today. There is not much good to play. Man. I mean, your Alcorn State, oh gosh, it's all terrible. See how bad this looks? I mean, because when you look at your away teams, you can see that under 10% margin are all these games. This is where you get good lines, but that's within the home bump range. And apparently these are all true home games for these teams. So these are toss-up games, and this is more a day for betting the both side strategy, where we think these games are going to be really close. So if there are drastic leads in the first half, you can try to anticipate lead changes if these teams fall behind. And that's the way I'd have to play this today, because in terms of straight picks on teams, yuck, 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 and yuck. This is bad. It's bad, right? I mean, it's bad. It's just bad. There's nothing really I can say about that, except it's a bad look. So things will get better though, because we're going to have just massive college basketball games coming down the pike. So I don't have any straight bet advice for college basketball. I don't see anything that looks good. Just going to play the strategy I've been playing, which worked out really well yesterday. I had the biggest winning day I've had since I started doing the betting both sides strategy yesterday. Bankrolls at like $700 now. So continue, keep on chugging on. I'll keep you updated on how it's going. There was a good breakdown last night of a live betting strategy in one of the NBA games late last night. And yeah, anyway. All right. So guys, good luck. Gotta run. May all your picks be winning. It's going to be a tougher day, but good luck. May all your picks be winning. That's how this works.